ਐਵੇਂ ਕਰੀ ਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੋਈ ਮੁਟਿਆਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੋਈ ਮੁਟਿਆਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ
Thank you very much for pressing the F1 forum. The camera's in that direction.
Thanks for that, Jake.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. You've got to keep these things in because that's when you'll know when we're going on air. We would love you to get in touch with us. Send us a tweet. It's at Jake Humphrey F1 if you would like to do that. Or you can send us an email, f1@bbc.co.uk. I'm going to be totally honest. 3G, Wi-Fi, not the easiest this weekend. So if we don't read out any of your tweets or any of your emails, it's not because we're ignoring them or we're being rude. It's just been a little bit difficult all weekend. But should we go for a bit of a wander and sort of let people see this new paddock here in India? There are many great things. The only thing that I'm really quite disappointed about is the architecture, because you go to Abu Dhabi and they've designed this beautiful sort of Arabian Night circuit, which is wonderful. And this is just a bit glass and steel for me. This is India. You want it to feel like you're in an Indian paddock, don't you? We could be anywhere.
Well, we can't really lash it, as we've said. We're really pleased to be here, and I think it has been a great success for me. I mean, look at the atmosphere in this paddock now. It's 100 times better than Korea was at any point 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? But, you know, what's a bit of a shame, I've seen this now over quite a period of time, a couple of decades, when they get rushed into action and they get built in a hurry, they're never quite right. It's a shame they haven't got another year. But I know Bernie's view on that. If I gave them another year, they'd need another 2 years. So let's get going and let's go racing. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's what happens on track that matters, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
I'll just take that to a different, to my understanding. I think we can be overcritical. Yes, if you gave them longer, would it be any better? I don't think so. I think it had to be, if you like, footprints in the sand.
Yeah.
Let's see what's there and let's now improve it. Let's get the criticism. Let's move on. I think, without going too far, apart from some very strange joints going up and down these particular buildings, maybe that's part of their architecture because they don't seem to be lined up. But nevertheless, all I can say is that I think they've done a really, really good job.
Okay. One thing that did... Sorry. One thing that did amaze me was Bernie saying what they've done here is better than Silverstone's managed, and I still don't even think Silverstone have done it anyway. I mean, that's a bit of a sly dig, isn't it?
That's just...
Or even not so sly, actually. It's just a dig.
Listen,
I think it's not in his makeup to say too many nice things about it. I don't know what sort of... You talk about Massa and Hamilton bad blood. There just seems to be everlasting bad blood between Silverstone and Bernie, so we'll just leave it at that, I would say.
Yeah, but Bernie's a multi-billionaire and he's got everything in the world he wants, and his sport is having a dig at Silverstone and having fun, and he's got another...
Why is that, Martin? Because it's brilliant, Silverstone. New Silverstone,
Silverstone looks amazing now and has done for some time, and we've been to some real dives in the world, haven't we? And that could never live up to Silverstone on its worst day. And I'm talking about racetracks when I say that.
Sorry, Mark.
So relax.
Good. I'm glad you qualified that. Let's just come around here and have a look at a couple of guys who are having a conversation. I hope you don't mind us just popping in live on the F1 forum. Anthony Hamilton, of course, and Adam Parr. Let's start with you, Anthony, as you're closest to me. Another difficult day, I suppose, for Lewis and also for Paul di Resta as well, who you manage now.
Yeah, it's both difficult days. I mean, a lot of it with Paul was down to strategy, I suppose. And, you know, you've got to start further up the grid as well, you know, so you've got to push the car a little bit more in qualifying. But, you know, we had a really good race today, I think, and had some great times.
And Eddie was very happy to see you and Lewis in an embrace on the grid before the Grand Prix, Eddie, weren't you?
Well, I want to take that a bit further. I'm very confused about Lewis's new management. In fact, I'm disappointed in them. They're not here. They should be here. Are they here? Well, then I take that back. Well, they're not very evident then, if that's the case.
Until
but
then,
honestly,
it was a good
the only
question.
person I saw around him was you, and you have other obligations to do now. And I'm very critical that Lewis needs to find his mojo, as I've mentioned, and he needs to get up and go. We know how fantastic he is, but what's going on?
You know, it's a bad year for Lewis, but, you know, sometimes in life you have good years and bad years, and I think this is one of the years that Lewis is looking forward to getting over and done with. And I'm sure that next year we're going to have a really strong Lewis Hamilton. In fact, I can always bet my house on it.
Do you know what? Music to our ears, and it's a nice new house you've got, so you wouldn't do that if you weren't confident.
No, I think, you know, you've got to go through the rocky period sometimes, haven't you? And, you know, and you learn from that too. So I think, you know, things are beginning to smooth out now. I mean, given the the issue that Lewis had with Massa today. He came back, he drove relatively strong, and that's about as much as the car was going to be able to produce. So, not too bad overall, I think.
Anthony, it's absolutely none of our business, but are you here trying to sell Paul Di Resta to Williams for next year in case he doesn't get a Force India seat?
You know me, you've got to talk to everybody, haven't you?
And it is completely our business, by the way.
I wanted to ask the other question.
Yes.
Raikkonen or Suttle?
That's the question I'm asking.
Well,
Very clear.
actually,
I can't hear. Sorry.
I was just listening to what Anthony said about having a tough period and learning from it, and thinking that sounds familiar and very good advice. Well, we're thinking about what we're doing for next year. No decisions have been made, and I'm really sorry, but I can't say more than that right now.
Where do you need to sort things out? I mean, as far as the team's concerned, less than 1% of the points that Red Bull have managed to pick up. And I don't know if you're aware of this, Pastor Maldonado, the worst ever full season for a Williams driver since your team was formed in 1978. So is it driver problems? Is it team problems? Where do you think you need to sit down over the winter?
Well, we've performance and reliability. Unfortunately, we've not finished. Pastor has not been able to finish the last 2 races because of breakdowns in the car, and that is completely unacceptable. 100% reliability is achievable, and that's a bare minimum. On the performance front, I think there are various aspects of the car which are just not adequate. The good thing is we know what they are. We're not in a situation where we're struggling to work out what the problem is. I think the new guys and the existing team know very well where we've got to do better. So I think there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Adam, wouldn't Kimi Raikkonen just energise the Williams team to put right the problems you've just been talking about? Wouldn't it just really motivate everybody and really bring your team alive? If he's still on form, but I think he's pretty determined to come back as well, isn't he?
Well, let me answer as a general question. I think everybody knows that Kimi is one of the most talented drivers who's been in Formula One in recent years. From what we can all see, he's very hungry to come back in. And I think having a world champion in your midst, of course, energises people. So all the points you made would be very relevant to a team that was thinking about what it was doing.
So you're looking at him. You're talking to him.
One final question. If you were at home watching this and not standing here appearing on it, would you be excited as a Formula One fan about Kimi, one of the most famous recent world champions with one of the most famous all-time teams?
Well, to be honest with you, the thing that's most exciting, one of the fans, which is Mrs. Parr, is Eddie's outfit. And she said to me,
Give me a break.
get on the camera with that kit.
Okay, tell Mrs. Parr, bbc.co.uk/Pudsey, if she joins in the auction for children in need,
Now there's a chance.
she can wear
You're in
that
trouble.
shirt anytime you like.
In fact,
Well,
I'll come and autograph.
she-
I'll actually personally fit it for her.
She works for Oxfam, so she'll be more than happy to contribute.
I think I like your wife even more after this
Okay,
conversation.
super. Thank you.
There you go, charity in the blood. Thank
Well
you very
done,
much.
guys.
Nice to see you guys. Take care. Thanks very much, Adam.
Sorry, we butted in on your
Do carry on selling Paul to
confidential
Adam.
conversation.
And Eddie, we make a joke about it, and Martin, you can agree with this as well, but if you look at these guys behind us, look, just stop and watch them. That is business being done in the Formula One paddock. Whether it's a driver, whether it's just little details and discussions, this is where deals get done.
It is. It's always remarkably. It's remarkable how out front it is. You think if there was some real business to be done, they'd be hiding behind. But even when team bosses meet at deserted airfields, somebody finds out about it when they're trading drivers or they're meeting drivers because pilots talk or air traffic controllers talk. So somehow or other, there are no secrets in Formula One.
I think actually the other extreme, if you sort of break up the belief, if you saw two lovers, I suppose, in a snug somewhere, then you actually think of a definite decision. When you see it like that, you think they're just having a chat. They're probably never having a chat. They're probably in the midst of doing something, because knowing obviously Anthony Hamilton as well as we all do, he's thinking, what happens if they go with Hülkenberg and Suttel, two German drivers, for a big sponsorship deal, and suddenly my boy Di Resta is left out? They want to bring him to Williams.
Hold on, though. Is that a good move for Paul Di Resta?
Forget whether it's a good move. It keeps him. Of course, it's a great move for Paul Di Resta. It keeps him in Formula One. At the moment, survival is the key. Keep your driver in Formula One at all costs, because we know what happens. You move out of Formula One, it is very, very difficult to get back into it.
But we currently expect Paul to be confirmed at Force India alongside Nico Hülkenberg next season. That's the smart money. Not confirmed, but that's the smart money.
If I could have Di Resta and Hülkenberg in my team, I would think I've got a seriously good team to go forward with. I think Adrian Sutil's a great driver, and but that's what I would go with. But you know, there are financial aspects to this to consider as well. And dare you take a risk on two relatively young drivers? I think you've got a slightly different view to me on that, haven't you?
I
Ed?
have. Actually, my view is on this. Let's just go back to the last 8 races. We love Paul di Resta. There's no doubt that I would confirm him anyway. So the open slot is between whether it's Hülkenberg and Suttel. And I think that the wise head, the guy who got the points today, the guy who has out-qualified his teammates 6 out of the last 8 races, who's given the impetus to the team to drive it. I don't want to see. I've seen too many bad experiences of 2 young cubs in a car trying to beat the wheels off each other. You can never stop that competitive drive. The only thing I'd say against Adrian Suttel is 5 years in one team. It's history time. It's time to move on.
He's had his chances.
He's had.
Well, the man who has to make that decision is Vijay Mallya. Eddie, you are almost in the form of your life today, so I'm going to ask you to take the camera, head in there, maybe chat to some of the Force India team, see how they're feeling, and of course, your good friend Vijay Mallya, see how he feels after today, because he's been instrumental in getting this Grand Prix to happen. Off you go.
Thanks, Jake. Jake has, if you notice, he has an uncanny habit of landing me straight into it when I least expect everything, and now I'm going to try and be a bit rude, and somebody... Gentlemen, what did you think of your first Indian Grand Prix?
Very good. We enjoyed it, loved it. We are thrilled, excited.
You're a guest of Vijay's?
I'm brother of Vijay.
You're a brother. Well, then I know your mother. Can you imagine we go to the same Indian restaurant in London? How cool is that?
Which restaurant you were talking about?
He knows about it. He introduced me to it.
Actually,
Vijay.
Eddie, he's Mr. Subrata Roy Sahara, our new partner in Sahara Force India Formula One.
Oh, indeed, it's a great pleasure because new sponsors not that easy to find these days, are they? And
More than just a sponsor,
and
an equity partner.
If he's paid the money that I hear he's paid, we love you. We're going to have you forever. Don't worry. Vijay, little tear in the eye today when you saw the race start, or was the emotions pushed back by other things?
Hugely emotional moment. It was like a dream come true. If I was not sort of glued into what was happening and how the cars would start, I might have shed a tear or two and out of sheer emotion and pride and joy. But finally, I'm a relieved man. In front of our home crowd, we managed the top 10, scored some points, and I think that that would have made a lot of fans happy. But I wish we had got both in the top 10. But that's racing.
We know you've had great names from Britain, Kevin Peterson, and that come to play for your great cricket team. Do you have a struggle with the sports that you've chosen? You've got a great cricket team, you've got a great motor racing team. Where does your passions really lie, or can you split them between you?
Oh, no, I mean, I am a sportsman, and so I enjoy a wide variety of sports. My mother told me the first word I ever uttered was car. So that probably explains my passion for motor racing.
I think we can tell. Why don't you tell the viewers when you were a driver?
Yep, absolutely.
Slightly slimmer than this, gentlemen.
Oh, much slimmer, much slimmer. We actually had open class racing in disused airstrip called Sholavaram near Chennai. And I brought Monan's ensign and I obviously won the race.
But I thought you'd get that in, did you now?
But yeah, it was fun driving a Formula One car. And racing has been in my blood ever since. Putting an Indian team on the Formula One grid was a huge moment of excitement and pride. The fan following for Force India, of course, jumped by leaps and bounds since then. And then, of course, the announcement of this facility and this race today will be a huge boost to the popularity of motor racing and Formula One in particular in this country.
If you were to analyse, there's obviously going to be calls, this needs to be done, that now. Where do you see this circuit? Because the drivers are delighted with the track, but the facilities and the infrastructure, where is that going to come from?
Well, the infrastructure and facilities are already there. I mean, people in the Paddock Club were extremely comfortable. We are comfortable in our motorhomes. The media centre is a showpiece. The drivers love the track. One might complain about, a little bit of the finishing, but, that really doesn't impede the experience. So I'm sure with a little bit of extra time, they'll fix the little things that need to be fixed. But otherwise, it's all there and something to be proud of.
Well, certainly from me, and indeed, I would say for the whole team, what you have told us you would do 3 years ago and now what you've delivered, I'm not sure everyone would have believed them at the time, but you have been remarkable in your success for driving this and the other entrepreneurs in this to make this happen. So from all of us, thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you.
And who have we got here? Oh, we got Nicky Hall. Hey, now, if you'd come with me 1 second. Nico, how difficult is it at the moment to spend the next couple of weeks while VJ makes the decision? And where do you think? Have you already had your seat fitting?
We all had our seat fit, to be honest. So
you know what I mean. Don't try and fool me.
They left it open that way, you see. But, I've been waiting all year long. I'm in this position all year long, and I got used to it. But nevertheless, obviously, I have to be a bit more patient to know what's going on. But
on the basis that it's going to be really difficult to have two German drivers in the car, are
Why?
you pretty convinced that it's going to be Paul alongside you?
I'm not convinced about anything, to be honest. So I think we have to wait and see. As again today, Adrian did a great job in the race. So did Paul, but he was on a worse strategy. So it's a head-to-head race. We're all performing quite well at the moment.
Jake, these guys have played poker for far too long, because I can't prize any sort of a real answer out of them. I'd like to
try harder. Try harder. Try harder.
I'll tell you what, Nico, why don't you explain to us how it would feel if you didn't get the drive next year? You spent all year long sitting, watching, twiddling your thumbs, going on the pit wall, trying to be a Formula One driver without getting the chance to race the car.
I'm not even sure if I want to go that far. I think that far, but
you're not going to stick around if you don't have a drive.
No, I don't. I won't do that. It was torture this year. Seriously, it's. I put on my smiley face here on the weekend, but inside of me, obviously, I'm not happy, not racing, because, I think I deserve the race seat, and that's what I've been doing all my life, racing. And for the first time this year, I had to, be outside and watch the guys go around, do what I love doing. And, I think the second year of this makes no sense for me at all.
Would you think it's better to, say, be in a car at the back of the grid in HRT, even better than sitting on the pit wall for a middle-ranking team?
Probably not. I mean, I get to drive the Friday mornings quite often, which is, generous from the team, which is good. I could prove what I can do, what I'm capable of. I think you can discuss a lot whether it's better to, be in a car which is driving at the back of the grid, being lapped, 5 times per race, or do what I do. I think I had the choice, and I choose what I'm doing now. So.
The big problem that Nico has, Eddie, is how does he prove to the team he deserves a chance to race a Formula One car when he's not racing a Formula One car? It's very difficult for the team and for Nico to make that decision.
Well, there's lots of other ways that teams evaluate drivers. They do it on, forget the simulator for a moment, but it is a part. They can see what he does on a Friday. He has the speed. They know that. Martin has made it very clear. They're spoiled for choice. They've got 3. What I wanted to ask Nico, if I could you ever see yourself going back to Williams? I mean, let's be very clear. They sacked you last year, or they let you go. Was there any bad blood? Is there any way that you can't go back in that door?
I think, obviously the way it ended wasn't perfect. And obviously I was in the bad situation. They kept on racing, and I'm what I'm doing now. So I'm obviously not very happy the way it ended. But I think my aim at the moment is to get a race seat here. And if that doesn't go ahead, then obviously I'll look at other opportunities if possible.
Okay, Nico, we're going to leave you here. But just before we disappear, just give us a small idea of how you go about getting a drive in Formula One. Because unlike football, where if you're a brilliant footballer, you'll get the chance to play for Manchester United, we're now in a sport where you can be a brilliant footballer, but there's a striker over there who's got £25 million in the bank and he plays in front of you. That's something that a lot of fans at home find it very difficult to get their heads around. So just explain the process of going about finding a drive in Formula One, the kinds of conversations you have to have.
Well, Formula One sport is competitive. You got to be more competitive and outperform the other guy. Simple as that.
On the track and with the bank balance and everything else?
Yeah, no. There's obviously teams which need that and look at that aspect. There's other teams which don't, or which don't have to look at that aspect. So, obviously that is the whole story. What happened at Williams? That's what you want me to comment on. But obviously it's very different. The sport only works with money. I understand that,
right.
But it's also the pinnacle of motor racing, and only the best drivers of the world should race here. So, I definitely think I belong here, and I hope I get my second chance.
Great. Take me on talent, or don't take me at all. All right, we'll take your microphone from you, and we'll wish you the very best of luck over the winter.
Good luck,
Thanks
Nico.
a lot, Nico. And let's make our way out of here and back down towards where the drivers are all being interviewed, and we'll hear from Jenson Button in a moment. But it's a good point worth making, Martin. Nico was saying that the best drivers in the world should drive in Formula One. You shouldn't have guys who've come in with sometimes state-backed money now. That's the kind of levels of cash that we're talking about. Getting the drive over a guy who in his rookie season took a pole position in Brazil.
You shouldn't, but then the team have got to keep the doors open and the people employed and buy the carbon fibre and the engines, and they've got to make the numbers add up. And, I remember saying it last winter, there's no way on earth I would replace Hulkenberg with Maldonado, but I wasn't the man trying to make the books balance and keep the bank account in the black.
So is there an issue then with the business model of Formula One, Eddie, if we're in a situation where drivers have to be bringing 20 or 30 million pounds to help a team make the books balance?
Well, I think, in my opinion, I think your figures are too high, Jake, but that's maybe things have moved on that far. But I think 3 to 5 million. I just have a situation that if I was managing Hulkenberg, who has enormous talent, would I syndicate him out? Would I actually say, OK, I'm going to sell 30% of his next 5 years' earnings to amass this group of money to go to a team and take a punt? I'm sorry, I'm a punter. I'd take that risk.
Makes
I
me
think
sound
he's
like
that
Eddie's
good.
been thinking about it.
But I know, EJ, there are young drivers wandering around this paddock with more than $10 million of sponsorship and funding behind them, and they're not getting doors opened at that. They are the numbers now. I had this conversation with my son saying that, even if we get anywhere near Formula One, we don't have that kind of money to get you in a seat. And when you've got people with the skills of Hulkenberg sitting around watching like a spectator for the weekend, but there's only 24 cars now. There was a time when we first used to race together and pre-qualify, there were 39 cars. You could get in and you could show your talent. Now it's so difficult.
Okay, well, Eddie's had his moment to do an interview. We'll get Lee's moment now. We'll hear from Jenson Button. Let's find out how he feels about this race.
Well, Jenson, congratulations on your second place. You were chasing so hard, but first just seemed that little bit further down the road today.
Yeah, I think we got everything out of the car today. The car felt very good in the race, actually. So it was surprising that we couldn't catch Sebastian. Style was good. Got past Fernando at turn 1. Lined Mark up nicely out of turn 3 into turn 4. And then it was about trying to keep Mark behind me for about 5 or 6 laps. Eventually, I think we broke his rear tyres and were able to pull away and put a nice gap between Mark and myself. And then I could set about Sebastian. But through most of the stints, it was impossible to close him down. After the pit stops, the car felt good. And before Sebastian settled into a pace, I could really pull the gap down. I think we got down to 2.8 in the end. That was the closest. But still, it wasn't quite enough. As soon as he settled in, he had better pace. So I think in terms of the team effort today, we've done everything right. We just weren't quite quick enough.
And the last pit stop, I think it was, you tried the undercut, you forced Red Bull into a pit stop as well. I suppose in these situations, that's all you can do, try and force them into some sort of error. Is that the plan?
We did, on every stop, we stopped before them. It's unusual for us. We normally try and go a bit longer. And it was a risk going to the harder tyre earlier because it doesn't have any grip. When I exited the pits, I was skating around, but we had to give it a go. It was the only way we could try and beat Sebastian. And it worked pretty well because I closed him down about 3 seconds after the stops, but it still wasn't enough.
It's been a slightly different race than we're used to. We talk about things like clean sides, dirty sides. It didn't really apply on this track. There was one big dirty side with a clean line through the middle. But have you enjoyed your Indian Grand Prix experience?
Yes, I have. I think they've done a great job of designing the circuit. I think it's a very good layout, and I think every driver is going to be excited about coming back here because it is a phenomenal circuit. It's a very, very fast and flowing in the middle sector and also the last sector. It's got a bit of everything, so it's one of the circuits I definitely give it a big tick and look forward to coming back here. And the Indian people have really welcomed us into their country. I've never seen so many people smiling before, and the crowd here have been wonderful. So we hope that Formula One grows in the future here in India, and we can get an even bigger crowd here because they seem to love the sport. It's just getting out to more people in India.
Well, there you go. Jenson Button gives the circuit a big tick. Well, we've left a driver who's desperate for a seat in Formula One, and we found one who's not only got the chance to drive an F1, but drives the very best car. There's Sebastian Vettel, somewhere in that crowd, being interviewed by all the media. Now, this is where the drivers head to as soon as the race is over, Martin. This is known as the pen for obvious reasons. Is this similar to how it was in your day? How did it work when you were driving an F1?
I remember when I got my first podium in 1984, they brought a low loader along, and PK and myself and Elio De Angelis got on it. We waved at our mechanics and our wives and girlfriends, and that was it. There was no... They were driving in a minibus to a press conference with probably 50 people in it. The media aspect of Formula One has changed out of sight in that time. And I mean, it is literally a scrum. Look, the photographers...
Well, I think they're doing a photo now with Sebastian and all the
way.
helpers. If we have a little look at this, that's really nice, actually, because they've roped in people who've been so proud to be part of the first ever Indian Grand Prix. They've all been wearing the Buddha International Circuit t-shirts, and that was their moment to get a bit of a photo with not just the world champion, but also the race winner. And this is where Sebastian excels, Eddie, in the car and with the media.
We, and I repeat this till I'm blue in the face, we have been so fortunate with the last number of world champions that we have, and Sebastian Vettel has, I won't say he has surpassed them, but he has equalled the best of them. And certainly Jenson and Lewis, as everybody has been in there. But, you know, he has given time. In the past, the sponsors and indeed the punters or the people who pay in or the marshals and the people who are working have been sort of put to another sideshow. And that's not the case with Sebastian. He has embraced them. He has made sure that he thanks them. Even the first thing he does when he gets us over the line, and he goes on and on. Sometimes it's just becoming a little bit boring because he's doing it too often. But he is very mindful. He is a very well brought up man. He is a joy to have as our world champion.
OK, and when he stood right here on this lovely red carpet, he spoke to Lee Mackenzie, and this is what he had to say.
Sebastian, congratulations. Another victory and more records broken today.
I don't know. I'm just proud, to be honest, with you. You know, it was a great race. Obviously, the first Indian Grand Prix, and yeah, it's a great honor to put my name and you know, for the team to put our name down the list. And yeah, it was a tough race. I think we all enjoyed it. The circuit is fantastic to drive, and it was actually very nice to have a lot of laps, consecutive laps, to push yourself to the limit, the car to the limit. So yeah, obviously it was great to have the fight with Jenson a little bit in the distance, but at some stages, you know, he didn't want to. I couldn't really, you know, get away from him. It was always around 3.5, 4.5 seconds. Difficult with traffic at some stages, but yeah, he was particularly quick at the beginning of the stints. Once I found the rhythm and tires started to age a little bit, I think we were able to, you know, open the gap a little bit. And at the end, I felt very comfortable on the hard compound. Even a little bit more comfortable than on the soft one. So yeah, all in all, a great race, a great day for us. I think a great day for India, their first Grand Prix, and I think yeah, all the drivers were thrilled with the track, and a lot of positive. Surely there are a couple of things, you know, here and there they can improve, and we have to improve, but you know, it's normal. The first time is always something special, I guess. So yeah, you know, I think now they know what to fix, and they will do so for next year.
And the record I was talking about that you broke was the most laps led in a season. Nigel Mansell held that record, but you've broken it already.
Surprised, really. I was surprised that there was a record left not held by Michael. So no, it's great. Obviously the race in that regard helped a lot because we led, I think, from start to finish. So yeah, incredible season for us, and you know, to be honest with you, the best thing is it's not over yet. So when I walk in the garage in the morning, the boys are happy, in balance, and you know, just hungry. They want to win, and you feel that motivation. You know, it's different. I think when you walk in and everyone is kind of lazy and gives you the impression they don't really care, but that's absolutely not the case. You know, we enjoy it as the first day, and I think we should, we have to, because you know, having the opportunity to finish high up in Grand Prix is something special. And it's funny, you know, yesterday I wrote a message to my friend, and usually when I look back, my first pole position, I got about, I don't know, 100 text messages, and nowadays I get only 4. So, but you know, the good thing is that to me it's still something special, and I think it should be, because who knows, it could be the last one, it could be the last race win, you never know. So Formula One changes quickly, and you know you are pushing obviously very hard as the driver, but there's certain things that need to come together, and it's great, you know, to be able to enjoy that at the moment.
If you want to put your phone number on the BBC, we could get all the viewers to text you and congratulate you on pole positions and victories, so you don't feel left out.
Yeah, I think about it. So you've got my number already. I don't get any text messages from you. So.
That's a secret.
Sorry, that's a secret. Yeah. Well, anyone asking himself or herself, if you want Lee Mackenzie's number, just let me know.
Oh, it's not a secret any longer, is it, Lee Mackenzie?
Oh,
she's looking very shy over there.
Lee Mackenzie.
Lee, we've suspected for some time that Sebastian's got your phone number.
He doesn't have my phone number. I'm very professional. Jake Humphrey has my phone number. Eddie Jordan and Martin Brundle have my phone number. I'm very selective.
But you don't take our text either, Lee.
Well, that might be you, Eddie.
I was going to say, she texts me all the time, Martin. She texts you a lot.
Yeah, all the time. We're hearing
Poor old Eddie.
Follow Lee on Twitter.
Loser again. Sad old thing.
I think you're just feeling left out. All right, Lee, thanks very much.
Thank you.
A great interview with Seb.
I'll carry
as
on
ever.
with my work.
Great, and keep your phone numbers to yourself when you're standing in the pen. Sebastian, what a great race. What a great win from him. Once again, he just kept his nose out of trouble. And congratulations to Sachin Tendulkar. Unlike Pele in 2002, he got the checkered flag spot on. He saw the car crossing the line. And yet another win. And I said after the podium, Martin, I said to Eddie that the point here is that we show India what Formula One is all about, and this weekend we did. Pole position, fastest lap, and race win from lights to flag for Sebastian Vettel. That is what this sport is all about.
That's his first ever full house, by the way, isn't it? For Vettel in his career, where he ticked every single box. Never was anybody ahead of him in the race. As you say, pole, flags, lights to flag victory, and
he loves them.
And what really fascinated me about his interview we just had with Lee, he said, hey, you never know, this might be my last victory. Formula One changes quickly, and that's a very smart way to look at it and understand it and not take anything for granted, because if somebody comes up with a double diffuser style thing next year like Braun did, he might not win another race next year if it's not Red Bull. So he knows he's got to soak up that success and energy and pleasure whenever he can.
And I always say it, you know, it's the phrase I use more than anything else in my life, Eddie, savour it. And it's important to just stop and smell the roses sometimes. And we all hope that Robert Kubica comes back to Formula One. We all hope that Robert Kubica tastes success in this sport once again. But if he doesn't, he's won one Grand Prix, and you wonder whether at that time his main motivation was thinking about the next race. It's so important to just soak up the moment.
We're in a very treasured society here. We're in a very treasured place. Formula One gives unbelievable opportunities, and at least the family and the people around Sebastian Vettel, just compare, for example, the interview that Sebastian has just done there to the one that we saw with Lewis Hamilton. Lewis's chin was on the table. It was absolutely going nowhere. So yes, it is ups and downs, and it's very important to know how to manage the downside. And that's why I asked Martin Whitmarsh, is there somebody at McLaren that is able to bring and to rejuvenate Lewis to the way we want to see Lewis racing, because we want to see him at the front.
It's a great point, actually, and that's what McLaren need, that's what Lewis needs, someone to just help him lift his game for next year, Martin.
I'm still very concerned for Lewis and his mentality, and just observing him at a Grand Prix meeting, talking to Anthony while EJ was talking to Vijay Mallya. I was having a chat with Anthony on some stuff that would be confidential, but you know, there is a real concern that where Lewis's emotions are, where his head is, and how he can pull himself out of that, because we know he's one of the greatest drivers in the world and one of the fastest drivers in the world. He's not going to have lost that in 5 minutes flat. So he'll be back. I'm pretty sure he'll be back.
Well, Felipe's been sharing his thoughts on today. Let's just quickly hear from Felipe if we can.
Try to speak to him. He passed through. You know, he didn't look to my face. So no, not here. And here, after the 1 minute silent, he was on my side, and then he just said, "Have a good race." So this is trying to what? So have a good race. I don't know. Is not part of talking or whatever, you know.
Okay. Slightly confusing to work out what the point Felipe was making there, but as Lewis said, Lewis did lean across to Felipe and wish him a good race. So it's good to hear that those two suddenly Lewis is doing what he can to make up. But that looked like a very grumpy, not very happy Felipe Massa. But he feels slightly burned after what's happened today, because it won't be a clear-cut penalty for him because he was in the Ferrari cockpit. He'll fail to see why he was penalised, I think.
Certainly David and I in the commentary box thought it was a racing incident, although we feared Lewis might get a penalty because he just always seems to. I personally was surprised when Massa was given a penalty, because I really thought it was, again, 6 of one, half a dozen of another. And the more I see it, different camera angles tell a slightly different story, if I'm honest. But I think he's now going too far on it. I'm not quite sure the point. If Lewis said something to him, said have a good race, I don't see where that's a negative personally. But I don't know the context in which that interview was done.
Sure,
I think what he's saying is it was a kind of a throwaway line, almost sarcastic or incidental. What he was saying, if he wanted to speak to me, there was an ideal opportunity to speak to me, not just say, put his arm around him and say, look, have a good race or whatever it was, because that was just, I don't know, it's one of those things that everyone says, have a good race. And I think Felipe wanted to hear more. He wanted to hear an engagement, or that's the impression I get by that conversation there.
Okay. You said spank, not speak.
Did I?
Yes.
Thankfully, you corrected yourself. I picked the wrong word.
For a change. It's nice just to have a little look actually here in the pit lane before we disappear. We've just been speaking about making the most of the moment, and this is an example of how quickly Formula One moves on. If you take a look up there, that was where the champagne was spraying just an hour and a half ago. It was full of emotion. Adrian Newey we saw looking really quite emotional after the Grand Prix. Another podium, another win for Sebastian Vettel. If you pan down and look to the left, you can see that all weekend these garages have been the hub of action and motivation and making sure that your car is good enough to win this race. And suddenly we're moving on, and behind us, Martin, a completely empty grandstand. It's so important to be aware of being in the moment, and this is how quick life and Formula One moves on.
You're absolutely right, and for me what's critical now for India is, as of Monday morning, will this generate some national motorsport, some new champions of the future for them? Because some countries have been successful at this and others have been dismal. Every time we've gone to a new race circuit, people talk to me and say, we're going to set up a young driver initiative, we're going to do this, we're going to set up championships, and it never happens. And we're only here 5 days a year maximum. They need to use this place to really drive something here in India.
I think on top of that, you're going to have every PR consultant in India, and they will be evaluating the global marketing value that this weekend has put on for their country. And when it amasses, they will be surprised that when they add up the actual value of that advertorial that we call it, that is being given, whether it's been television, whether it's media, whether it's radio, whatever medium, it will be huge, and it will drive people in government to say, hey, we've got a real opportunity here, much bigger than cricket, much bigger than any other sport that's been in this land, and let's maximise it, because we cannot afford to lose it.
Not just maximise it for the right reasons, because when we drive from here into Delhi, we will see abject poverty on the road all the way from here into town. I know the plan is to use this circuit midway between here and the Taj Mahal to try and generate this entire area, or regenerate this entire area. That's the trick, though. It's not just about having a great circuit and making lots of money for the right people. It's about getting that money back into the places where it's needed.
Yeah, I mean, my speciality is Formula One. That's what I know a lot about, and there is a lot of poverty downtown, and you can't. I mean, Delhi looks a lot better to me than Mumbai when I went to see my sister there, for example. We can't change that. I guess to change something must change, and that's what a facility like this is hopefully doing. But it should be a springboard in the beginning. Year 2 and year 3 will be interesting as well. There's been a lot of excitement, and all the Bollywood stars and the cricketers who are gods around this place have been here. It'll be really interesting to me to see what their grandstand looks like next year and how many megas are on the grid.
Yeah, because the only thing we saw this year was Korea taking a big step back, smaller crowds. It looked even less finished than a year before, but we shall see what India do. But thank you both for sharing the weekend with us. Just to remind you that you can get your hands on some great stuff for children in need. All you need to do is go to bbc.co.uk/Pudsey, because we're putting together a big Formula One giveaway. Just to remind people of what they can win, I'm going to sign a script from this race weekend with all the guys, all the pundits, all the experts will put their squiggle on there, and it's the script that I've been using for the whole programme. Eddie?
Not sure. This shirt is everybody's choice. Certainly was a bit of fun when we went to go and get it, and then we came up with the idea. Rebecca in the office, she was the girl who came up and said, "Children in need, perfect." And well done to
Well done,
Rebecca
Bex.
for doing that.
This is a kufta, by the way.
Of course, it's a kufta. We all knew that. Did you not know that?
Kurta.
Jake?
It's a kurta,
Oh,
by the way.
that's one. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, it's very nice, and we would all like to see people on Red Button. They want to see you in one next year.
Maybe they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
I'm
No, they
sorry.
don't want to
I
see
tell
that.
you what, you are on your own here. You are wearing one of these next year.
Right, just to make it 1-1 now that you've made it 1-0, are we also giving away the Sweaty Eddie shirt from Malaysia circa 2009?
Wasn't that the worst one ever?
Are we going to do that as well?
It's crawled off somewhere by now, hasn't it? Surely.
Actually, oh wait, hang on a second. Oh, look, complete with frills. Yes, we are going to get, and I'm sure we'll get to sign something because this was a shocker. One of the worst ever shirts because I learned from DC that it is very cool to wear a little tiny vest under these because it soaks up the perspiration or sweat as I do. Beforehand, so I learned a big lesson at that stage. But anyone who wants, this is being brought out of the archives,
And it has been
especially
washed.
for children in need.
It has been washed. This is where the stain started
Many
here.
times I have
They
to
met in the
ask.
middle, and then Eddie suddenly appeared wearing a BBC Sport t-shirt. So you can win this shirt. You can get this one
Win?
as well.
It's not a winning
Through
matter.
the
It's
auction.
a pay.
All right, through the auction.
We are in the, not the giving, but we are in the paying business. These people have to pay us to give to the kids.
Perfect. And Martin, what are you giving away?
Well, I'm going to try and find as many things as I can, but in particular, my handwritten notes from qualifying, handwritten notes from the race, and some nonsense I say just before the start. The stats books, which are fascinating, that come out for the weekend, and all the information, and our BBC running order as well, and anything I can put around that makes it a full Grand Prix worth of this is how it comes together, and somehow live TV is like the proverbial swan, isn't it? Calm on the top and mad underneath.
Yes,
as
and
it's going on
sometimes
in
not
my
that
ear
calm
right
on
now.
top.
One, Marty. I like that.
Very nice. And you can also win David Coulthard's white jeans as well, which he's become very famous
Not
for.
a very good.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for being with us. Sorry that David couldn't be with us talking of his white jeans, but hopefully I will see him fit and fine in Abu Dhabi in a couple of weeks' time, and we look forward to you being there with us as well. I think it's been a learning curve for Formula One, a learning curve for India, but all in all, a successful first ever Indian Grand Prix. And as they pack up here, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations going on long into the night. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time for the penultimate race of 2011.
जिसका चर्चा हर सू है, इसका जीना जुनून है, यारी पे जान लुटा दे, दुश्मनों को मिटा दे, है दीवाना कोई या मसीहा या जादूगरी, गाता जाए धुन प्यार की, छेड़े ये प्रेम तराना, कर दे सबको दीवाना, उसकी है ये रीत, हर दिल की खुशी उसकी
Next time on Formula One, round 18, Abu Dhabi.